$113,000 Perry Duckles of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. $140,000 Public Defender Julie Cianca. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. This is the Freedom of Information Law, dated this August 9, 2026, Sunday. I'm going to read three. You have this information that I'm going to read here. $113,000 Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles and $140,000 Public Defender Julie Cianca. Perry Duckles serves at the pleasure of District Attorney Brian P. Green. You, Public Defender Julie Cianca, serve at the pleasure of the Monroe County Legislature. There are different ways to terminate employment for you, Perry Duckles, and you, Julie Cianca. You, Julie Cianca, your employment is easier to terminate once I contact the Monroe County Legislature about you refusing to disclose information I have in my hand right here that you have, an electronic file, a paper file. Perry Duckles, given the fact that he's been at the District Attorney's Office for 20 years, is not going to be terminated. It doesn't matter to District Attorney Brian P. Green that he's not going to disclose this information that he has or has access to or could direct someone to send it to me. Just like it didn't matter to former District Attorney Sandra Dorley. So you have it. And send it to me. And you will refuse. Which is defiance and corruption and fanaticism. So I've been on here for 1 minute and I haven't heard a siren go by in the freak show of Rochester, New York. That's American Medical Response, or Rochester Fire Department, or Rochester Police Department, and also private citizens having sirens. That doesn't happen in Albany, New York, and Washington, D.C., where I lived in the city for 5 years. Because Albany, New York, and Washington, D.C. aren't freak shows like Rochester, New York. It's crime and criminals everywhere. So, send it to me. You have this information. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation of the case of Christopher Chichester, John P. Lenzo Jr. in Penn Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation of the case of Christopher Chichester for Paul C. Metzler in Penn Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation of the case of Christopher Chichester, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Here's my name right here. Christopher Chichester, 130 North Whitton Road, Box 10184, Rochester, New York, 14610, August 9, 2026. What's not to understand in 2 minutes and 20 seconds? Send it to me. Who is it? Who has violated my civil and constitutional rights? That's why I demand this information. I demand this information so I can approach disciplinary committees with 1,000 pages of documentation, some of which I'm going to read today. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here because there are times where I can feel myself getting physically ill when I have to mention certain names, which includes your two names. So I was just on here recently on August 8th with 5 here. Where I'm demanding how the grand jury function that targets me. I'm demanding defective documents for Dan Glaus the third, and also demanding $61.39 because that's the money in my pocket when Richard Seaman violently attacked me at the Penn Public Library. So I read those 6. So this YouTube here, I understand if you don't watch me, if you blow it off, I'm going to print this out. I don't know if I'm going to send this in a Gmail or mail.com or Proton Mail. I don't know yet. But how I send it to you in mail tonight will arrive in documentation that I send to your office using the Freedom of Information Law that I just read is going to be enclosed in envelopes for the United States Postal Service, Registered Mail Return Receipt, or United Postal Service or Federal Express, whatever I decide to do. This big document here, correspondence mailed USPS to Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Brian Breen on July 6, 2026, USPS receipts attached in JPEG. Oh, this is a month ago, 5 weeks ago. So 3 years ago, on July 6, 2023, I communicated with the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Dorley, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter on YouTube. The language. I'm demanding public information from you. I'm demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors' sons because I've been in jail 6 times. 6 times a prosecutor not talked in court. When I appear in court, I have a prosecutor assigned to that court appearance for concocted criminal charges, fiction, and lies. What are the names of my prosecutors? I've been demanding names for 18 months, and you, District Attorney Sandra Dorley, and you, Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles, have refused to disclose the names of prosecutors assigned to my court appearance, taxpayer fines, but proceeding because you're corrupt. because you're an obscenity. That's why this is called obscene. This is the Freedom of Information Law. This is 22 here on this July 6th, 22 right here, as I communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. Do you know how many you're going to comply with? Because you're predictable. Corruption is predictable. It's going to be zero. The official finger of Brooklyn, New York. As I've said now repeatedly here, the reason why you behave like freaks and psychopaths and fanatics and degenerates at the public defender's office, district attorney's office, and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is all you know is Monroe County. And I have been to Brooklyn 200 times because my father's from Bushwick Stuyvesant and my mother's from Bay Ridge. I know all of Bay Ridge like I know Rochester, New York. I don't know all of Brooklyn because there are parts of Brooklyn uh, that are different than Bay Ridge. Bay Ridge is Shore Road, the Verrazano Bridge. Bay Ridge is the Brooklyn community closest to Staten Island, where I've been to Staten Island 100 times because my Uncle Tom was a New York City police officer from Staten Island. I used to drive over the Verrazano Bridge to see my Uncle Tom when I was in graduate school at SUNY Albany, when I was in the Army, and before he died in 1990 when I was in graduate school at SUNY Albany. So that's a reason why I'm not a freaking a psychopath and degenerate, even though I am flawed as a human being. I'm certainly not those things that apply to you. Obscene, because you're an obscenity. It's an obscenity to refuse to disclose this information I just read that you have in your possession on trying to file a paper file. And so I read these three Freedom of Information Law documents on July 6, 2026. And then I have the links here. YouTube One Judge, the corruption of Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney San Angelo, the freak prosecutor. Who knows? He doesn't have to talk in court. Who knows that she doesn't have to talk in court? Does the one judge exist without a jury? And the freak judge before John P. Lomenzo Jr., that I think is Julie Hahn of Monroe County Court with 17%. No, she doesn't have to talk. There is the 5'2" three-piece suit boy before Paul C. Metzler. Who knows he doesn't have to talk? And then I do not know the likeness of the judges that are standing there in New York State Supreme Court in 99 Exchange for Alex Renzi, because there were about 15 people in the room, and I could not determine who was the prosecutor, but I think it's two females, but I can incorrect. I do not know. One judge. You love that one judge. That one judge is disgraced. The New York State legislature needs to change that law. So as far as contacting you repeatedly, here I am on YouTube. I was on YouTube for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. 413-918-94 Perry Duckles. Identify my prosecutor's house. I don't know when that was, but that's well over a year ago. And then I have a TikTok conviction of Laura Riley, my ex-girlfriend. I've known since I was 20 years old. Took everything to a storage locker. Everything's gone. That's a crime. She hasn't been arrested. July 6, 2026, Todd Baxter, Brian Green. 3 years ago on July 6, 2023, I communicated with the Monroe County District Attorneys of District Attorney San Angelo, Monroe County Sheriff's Todd Baxter on YouTube. I'm not going to read that again because I'm going to be on here for too long. But here are the links right here. One judge abused power of identification is saying again, Perry Duckles, again, eviction. I'm saying Antonio Spano committed a crime and locked me out. Here on this July 6th, last month, 2026, same foil that I just read is there. John P. Lomenzo Jr., July 6th, the same foil for Paul C. Metzler on that July 6th. July 6th again, in 2026, same foil for Alex Renzi. So this is over a month ago. There's nothing in my box. You know what's going to be in my box at 130 North Winton Road? It's going to be documentation forcing me into court $113,000 Perry Duckles and $140,000 Julie Cianca before the corrupt judge, where the criminal charge is a fiction and a lie. And the corrupt judge is not going to know anything. The insane, corrupt, sick prosecutor is not going to know anything. I'm not going to have defense counsel where I'm defended, where the defense counsel says to the judge, shouldn't a prosecutor make an argument that this citizen, this defendant committed a crime, and are you going to sentence him to jail in the absence of that argument and that First Amendment right? And is a piece of paper just going to sentence him and convict him of whatever fiction is up here, and he's going to be in Monroe County Jail next to the murderers and the rapists when a prosecutor doesn't utter one fucking word? What's the answer? And there is no answer at all. You know, this is a hypothetical scenario, but I'm confident that this is going to happen to me again, where I'm going to get a document in the mail from one of you freaks and psychopaths and degenerates at the district attorney's office, and you just don't have to say anything. And the judge doesn't care that you don't have to say anything. The judge is as ignorant as the prosecutor. The judge is as ignorant as the public defender. So, obscenity. Senate, July 6, 2023. I've seen. Where's my Chromebook? 40 plus pounds overweight Lee LaRoque, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, is Todd Baxter surrounds himself not only with the freaks, degenerates, the psychopaths, Richard Seaman and Michael Lulan. He's got his overweight employees too, because he's overweight. He looks at Lee LaRoque, 40 pounds overweight, takes my Chromebook out of my residence because of a document concocted by Paul C. Metz from Penn Court. Todd Baxter doesn't think she needs to lose weight. She's a disgrace in uniform. Because he's overweight, because he's a joke, because he's a disgrace in uniform, Sheriff Todd Baxter. A little girl can outrun him. I'm not exaggerating. When I say a little girl, I have nieces. A little girl, 12 years old is a little girl, 10 years old is a little girl. A little girl can outrun Sheriff Todd Baxter, especially that little girl is a runner. So, like my nieces, July 6, 2023. Tell you 40 plus pounds overweight, 97,000, fellow cyclist that is Lee LaRoque to mail my Ace of Chromebook to the addresses to blow my name, Sheriff Baxter. What do you fail to understand about what I told you, you party switching Benito Mussolini train wreck? This is a legal search and seizure with a ridiculous document typed to Penn Court by $28,000 hacking file of Paul C. Metzler. There was no probable cause to confiscate my Ace of Chromebook from my former residence, 26 Sanders from Drive in Penn, New York, or anything. Tell you 113,918 94-cent first assistant district attorney Perry Douglas, the mail names I prosecute silence at same address, you pathetic party switching Mike Knife on clone. District Attorney Sandra Dorley, he refused. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names I prosecute silence, taxpayers subsidized public proceeding. It's a courtroom because you're corrupt, District Attorney Sandra Dorley. There's your name right there, Julie Cianca. See? Julie Cianca at MonroeCounty.com. You see your name there, you $140,000 psychopath? Huh? I'm going to screenshot this. I'm going to point to this with an arrow, and then I'm going to send this to the members of the Monroe County Legislature. Well, I'm pointing at your name here on this day, this August 9th. And Perry Duckles serves at the pleasure of District Attorney Brian P. Green. Has really less to worry about because this super library has been there everywhere. But here he is right here. There you are, Perry Duckles. Can you see your name? There you are right there. Perry P. Duckles at MonroeCounty.gov. Brian P. Green, I copied you on this. If I have your right email, I do not know, but you're going to receive this. And I'm going to get a transcript of this that I always write out. And I'm going to write what I said on here. And when I send it, this YouTube link to your offices at the District Attorney's Office and Public Defender's Office. So here it is right here. So I will print the email. And then I'll take the language from the email. I'll put it in a cover letter. So it could be read as part of a cover letter that I put on top of the email. What is the status of the 5 criminal complaints I wrote for Richard Seaman, Nayron Shah, Leda Kumar Shah, Laura Riley, Antonio Spawn, Michael Lane, June 3rd, 2026? This is why he's corrupt. I do not use a word to call a duly elected sheriff corrupt when there's no evidence that he's not corrupt. This is why. The law's a joke to him. He ignores the law. It doesn't matter to him. So... these are the criminal complaints here. Richard Seaman, Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked in Penn Public Library in Penn, New York, ran into Christopher Chises, slammed his arm on the head of Chises, going to fall backwards, hit his head on the ceramic tile floor. Neighbor Sean Lynn, Kumar Shah, 2033, Penn, New York, false reporting incident. Christopher Chises, performing 26 Sanders from Drive, is walking to a park line next to his residence. Antonio Spano, Fairport, New York, locked front and back towards the residence. 26 Sanders from Drive in Penn, New York, without a court order. Laura Riley, Webster, transport a person belongs to Christopher Chises, 26 Sanders from Drive in Penn, New York, to a storage locker. Michael Houlihan lying under oath. I'm not going to read this again because the interest of time. We're going to be on here quickly. Those criminal complaints. Michael Houlihan lying under oath. Does not matter to District Attorney Sandra Dorley, the former District Attorney. Does not matter to Sheriff Tom Baxter. There he is. Said I swung a hammer at him on my back porch in Penfield. A joke, a disgrace. So there's the language from Michael Houlihan saying I swung a hammer. I've never been violent in my life. He'll say anything. There's free cop crimes again for innocent citizens. So, correspondence, USPS, July 10th, 2026. I contacted you on July 10th, 2025, July 10th, 2024, July 10th, 2023. There's nothing. 26, 25, 24, 23, and July 10th. Demanding the inside prosecute silence. I don't hear anything. How is a citizen in jail and prosecuted in Taunton Court? How is a citizen in jail and prosecuted in Taunton Court 6 times? That's the same. Because you're insane. You don't know you're insane. So, July 10th, again, the language, same language there from the email. On different dates. Does not matter to you. But I'm demanding information from you. July 10th, 2024. This is the transcript of every argument made by your prosecutors. The DLT describe a crime in brackets. There's nothing in the brackets. Prosecutors never talked to court for me. Again, May 12th, criminal complaints are there. Over and over, I'm using documentation to send these same criminal complaints to Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley, District Attorney Brian P. Green. Doesn't matter. April 4th, 2026, I don't have my original DD-214 because you have my jail 6 time and prosecutor refused to make an argument down court. New York Supreme Court, I committed crimes because you resigned. Christopher Chichester, 1133 corporate bribe, P.O. Box 25395, Farmington, New York. Talk more about how Mort Properties at 275 Park Avenue locked me out, just like Antonio Spano locked me out. And nobody Morton Properties, who were 2 elderly women, at least in Sandy, and the landlords in Florida, is not going to be arrested at all. How do you arrest an absentee landlord in Florida? Who owns the building? Isn't he responsible? I'm researching that right now. This is my DD-214 that I don't have. I don't have that because of Laura Riley and Antonio Spano. Here I am on August 28, 2025. I'm back here in 3 weeks talking about the first day I entered the United States Army for basic training in Fort Bliss, Texas, which is August 28th, 1985. 40 years later, I wrote this correspondence to Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley about the fact that I don't have my DD-214. It's irrelevant impeachment. Disclosure is Perry Duckles right here. Freedom of Information Law on July 10th, 2023, over 3 years ago. These are different dates in here. July 13th, 2026 to Brian P. Green. It's ignored by Brian P. Green. Here's the Federal Express receipts right here. Brian P. Green, Todd Baxter, Alex Renzi, Michael D. Giacomo, and there you are right there, Julie Cianca. See your name? Julie Cianca. Can you see your name? $140,000 psychopath and freak, Julie Cianca. She just ignores the law. This language that I just said about you being a psychopath and freak, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to find the exact language now that I'm on here 16 minutes. I'm going to quote myself when I send this documentation, this packet to the Monroe County Legislature, recommending to Monroe County legislators that you be removed as the Monroe County Public Defender. They'll be able to see that receipt. And then what's your response? What's your response to disciplinary committees? Is it going to be nothing? You don't have to say anything? Go with that, Public Defender Julie Cianca, please. It's not discipline for you. You should be disbarred. Understanding? July 15, 2026. Sheriff Todd Baxter, correspondence mailed USPS, Federal Express, Todd Baxter, District Attorney Brian B. Green, in July 15, 2026. Hypocrisy, fairness, and menacity defined your 8-year tenure as sheriff. You ignored a violent attack upon me. Penn Public Library, psychopath 75, not a seat in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Seepin slams his arm beside of my head. I fell back, so my head hit the ceramic tile floor. Seepin sat on me. The blue wall of silence is your insane response to his violence upon me. He loves violence. When I get the payroll again, I'm going to go right for Richard Seepin's name. There it is right there. There's the letter. So there was the email. And there's the cover letter I printed out. Here's July 15th, 1 year prior to that, about Seepin here. Does not matter to Sheriff Todd Baxter. I'm telling him again, 1 year prior to that, on this July 15th, 2023. It's again Richard Seepin. July 15, 2023, the blue wall silence is going to protect Richard Seepin. It has since 3 years ago. Your violent psychopath employee 75904 Richard Seepin stalking the Penn Public Library, stood up the funeral terminal. Seepin ran at me, slammed his arm to the side of my head. I fell backwards. My head hit the ceramic tile floor. This violence is irrelevant to you. You embrace violence because you felt psychopath and criminal, not be fired. When I write a criminal complaint that I details assault by Seepin, will not be arrested, prosecuted. Nothing will happen to you, taxpayer subsidized sociopath that must undergo immediate mental health examination. He will attack other innocent citizens. Did you order Seepin to stalk me into the library? Were you informed about his disgusting predatory behavior? Did you have no knowledge about his fanaticism? You refused to answer. And that's exactly right. Sheriff Todd Baxter refused to answer because he loves violence. That's not an exaggeration. Richard Seepin is still employed, and I've told him repeatedly since this July 15, 2023, that his psychopath and freak attacked me, just like he loves perjurers, which is also 2 weeks after that, on July 26, 2023. I'm not going to go into that because I've talked about Michael Houlihan repeatedly being a perjurer. Doesn't matter to Sheriff Todd Baxter at all. January 24, 2023, fanaticism, perjury, violence right here 3 years ago. You freaks. That's a 2-word sentence that perfectly captures what Sheriff Todd Baxter and former District Attorney Sandra Dorley are. You freaks. So 2 days before that, on January 22nd, 2023, perjury of violence. Again, I'm telling Todd Banks, St. Joyce arrived in this 1 week period, the last 10 days of January, over and over and over. United States Postal Service, Federal Express, UPS, these links here, January 24th, 2023, January 26th, 2023, January 22nd, 2023. All of them have links about Richard Siepin violently attacking me, Michael Leon lying on the road. And then I fired. Todd Banks doesn't give a shit, doesn't give a damn that he's got violent psychopaths like Siepin working for him, perjurers like Michael Leon working for him. Disclosure for Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles, July 16, 2026. So it's just 3 weeks ago. I don't hear anything from you. These links here: abuse of power, psychosis, gangsters, nothing against identified prosecutor, violence money for 30 plus minutes talking about Richard Siepin violently attacking on YouTube 3 years ago. Does not matter at all. Sheriff Todd Banks, they're unconstitutional here because I believe it's unconstitutional to be violently attacked and driven from Monroe County, where I've lived since 2012, to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, because I cannot be in Monroe County Jail, not because of the inmates at Monroe County Jail, because I can be violently attacked by the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees at Monroe County Jail, and that's already happened to me. July 19, 2023, 3 years ago, July 19, 2023, I contacted District Attorney Sandra Dorley, and then I go on from there about that. Dates come up, and I look at a calendar I have, and then I know when I sent you something 1, 2, 3 years ago, and then I write a document, or I go to YouTube, and it doesn't matter, you freaks and psychopaths and degenerates at the district attorney's office. You have this information out of my prosecutor's silence. So, last document here. There's over 50 plus pages here. July 19, 2023, before she resigned in disgrace, District Attorney Sandra, Todd Banks was not on here. Attached to 3 Freedom of Information Law documents dated July 19, 2023 in this language. I go here. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence because you should corrupt resign. So, what's not to understand? You will refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence, Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles, and so will you, $140,000 public defender Julie Cianca. And I've talked to you on TikTok.
All right, so I found this
$140,000 public defender Julie Cianca. And do you not know I've contacted you on TikTok? Monroe County Public Defender Julie Cianca. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. What are the names of my prosecutors? You refuse to answer. And that's a disgrace. It's an abomination, and it's why you're unethical. Your subordinates at the Public Defender's Office, Mark Phillips and Regina Harper, refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence. They sent the envelopes back to me that I sent to your office. I'm going to put these envelopes in a box, and I'm going to mail them to you, Julie Cianca, and sign for it. I have contacted the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Trini Ross. I've contacted Attorney General Merrick Garland using registered mail return receipt. I've contacted the Office of Kathy Hochul. And I've informed these offices that have regulatory power and control over Todd Banks and Sandra Dorley that I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. Julie Cianca, if a citizen anywhere in the United States of America is to be delivered to jail, should a prosecutor talk in court? Does a prosecutor talk in court? The answer, Monroe County Public Defender Julie Cianca, is yes. What is wrong with you? Because I have now contacted you via YouTube. What is wrong with you, Julie Cianca? You don't know what's wrong with you, Julie Cianca. You're corrupt. Julie Cianca, you have this information right here. On this August 9th, 2020, you have it. Send it to me. One last time. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, John P. Lemez, Jr. in Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Doesn't matter that your name is not on there, Julie Cianca. You have this information. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, Paul C. Lemez, Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Doesn't matter that your name is not on here. You have this information. $140,000 public defender Julie Cianca. Free information law. Documentation case of Christopher Chichester, Alex Renzi, United States Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Brian P. Green. Doesn't matter that your name's not on here. $140,000 public defender Julie Cianca. You have this information. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man my whole life.